Hello everyone, this is Loknath Madula and this is my video recording for video demo submission for module 13. So I'm gonna use this grading sheet as my progress check so that we know everything has been worked on. So the GitHub has been created, the research has been answered in my README right here. So we have that covered, and then next we have our dependencies, everything set up properly. The assets have been moved in the right here. If we can see in the images, there is restaurant and all the assets. So there we have that. And then once we log in, so for this, I think it's better if I have like show you by scanning out the app. So I'm gonna scan it right here. So it's loading up, it's loading up. So once it's loading up, once it has loaded up, I would show you guys from here on my screen. So it's still loading. All right. I don't know how it's going to look, but the login, maybe it's all looking like a white page. So I'm gonna decrease the brightness a little. So here we go. Let me, yeah, perfect. Okay. So here is the login page, and then I'm gonna type just in. So once we have failed, the error message shows up, and then now that we have logged in, it would take us to the first page, which is the menus page. Upon arrival, all the display, everything has been displayed without any filtering. So now we can either sort by rating, which is by the rating, or by the price. So here is by the price. So which, and we could also select both of them. So which would be like this. And then once nothing we don't want to select, we have a placeholder value. So we can go back to the placeholder value. So by clicking on select, so now we are back, and then we can go to the clicking on any of the menu. We will go to the menu page, and then there we can't go to the negative. We can only go up. So once we click up, and it would enable the create order button. So, and once I click on create, so here we go, and then we would have the confirmation model. And then once I click confirm, it says processing, and then it has been received. So there we have that. So, and once we go back, so here I am in Japanese. I have increased it to 1, and I have gone back, and then I came back to Japanese, and it again reset to 0. So there we have that. And finally, the order history is displayed here. And then once I click on view, it would show us the history. So we can see it. We can see all the details have been properly noted. So there it is. So yeah, these are all the requirements which we have. The header and footer were always there, except in the login page. The logo and logout button is there. Oh yeah, let me also demonstrate the logout button. So here we have it. So once I click logout, we have gone back to the login page. So the colors are consistent, the footer is there, and then the wireframes have been respected. The branch has been merged for submission, and then this covers it. Yeah, thank you very much for going through my. I mean, I could also go through the code. I mean, I would also go through the code. That's no brainer. So here we have our index, which is like the first page, and then this is the login page, and then the layout, which as we can see here. So the stack is the. I mean, this is the stack method. Without passing the index, you can't go into the customer. So index is our login page. After passing the index, we would go into the customer. And again, if you see in the customer, there are two things. So there is the restaurant and there is the history. So here, if we notice in the layout, the restaurant corresponds to all the restaurants and their menus. And then the history corresponds to the order menus of the customer, so related customer. So if we go into the history page, we get everything here. So we get the now, I mean, the header which has the logo and the logout button, and then we have our table which says order status and the view which would open up the model. And next here we have our all the details. So if we scroll up here, so yeah, here we can see the API request, I mean request being sent to the backend and then the content be fetched back. So we what we do is we have our all our colors here, and then so yeah, this brings up the items, and then we have our detail model which brings up the items, and then which would display us these details, and then the order items which were placed in that particular order. So this is for the order history. And then if we go into the restaurant, we would again have two screens here. The layout would clearly explain. So there is a stack. So after first would be the initial list view, and then there would be the menu. So once you click the any item in the list, I mean any restaurant in the list, it would take you to the menu. So if I go into the code, I would show you much better. So yeah, here. So yeah, the restaurants. So restaurants, if you click on anything, the press button, it would route you to the menu. So and while it passes also the relevant information about that, the particular ID of the restaurant. So here we have it, and then we can also see the authentic logout button, which would take us out. And then here we have all our images for the restaurant, so which are all set up. And then yeah, here the response being sent to the restaurant to fetch all the restaurants and then display them. And then if I go scroll a little bit down, and we can also see the filters here. So filters 1 to 5 stars in the rating, and then $1 to $3 in the pricing. So we here we have our filters, and then down would be the cards routing to the next menu. So this is the initial page, and then the menu would have our each item in the menu and plus or minus to add them into the order. So if we go here, so here we have our fetch here. I mean, not exactly fetch, restaurant summary, and then there is the post we for our, I mean, all the products, and then the post for the order. So yeah, here our post for the order, and next we have our. So yeah, and then here we have our menu list, all the items. All the items use the same image restaurant menu. So there we have that. And then the controls for the items. So either to decrement it or increment the item. So the confirmation model, which would display once we click on create order. So which would have all the details which we have added, and then the submission. The footer always we have see as we have when we click on it, processing order and confirm order. So yeah, there we have. And then once it fails, it would be X and please try again. We would also have the button grayed out then. So this explains the code as well. Thank you very much, and I appreciate you guys listening to this video. See you guys.